Hello. So I'm going to make other videos around this subject which are going to be a little bit more comprehensive. But in this video, I just want to lay out my general thoughts on what's happened in Orlando in a rather concise way. Just lay out everything that's on my mind right now. Obviously, this is a historic event. It's the worst mass shooting in US history. Um, it may not be the last if the current trend continues, but at this time it is historic for that reason. Also, poignantly, it is the worst single act of violence against LGBT people since the Holocaust. There were a lot of gay people targeted in in Hitler's Third Reich, and this is the worst single act of violence since then. So that's quite a sobering thought. There is a lot of focus being made on the killer. I don't want to talk too much about him because I agree with the idea that it's wrong to give him the celebrity focus. It is important to look at the profile of the guy and what his background. I do think it's relevant because you need to have that sort of analysis to look at what inspires potential mass shooters, or in this case, jihadist mass shooters. I don't think anyone can honestly deny that there was a link here to radical Islam. I just think trying to deny that is trying to say that the sky isn't blue or that there are no fish in the sea or something like that. Um, I fully appreciate, as I'm going to point out in a longer video, that if you're a Muslim, you want nothing to do with this guy. But I still think if you're more concerned about the image of your religion than the fact that someone acting in the name of Islam has went on a rampage, I mean, if you're more concerned about the image of the religion than about the massacre itself, that's a problem. There needs to be an end to this victimhood mentality that the whole world is out to get Muslims every time these atrocities occur. Generally, the backlash is not as big as it is made out to be. Um, the simple fact of the matter is, you don't get, revenge massacres in mosques and so on. You just don't. So it is very, very important that we keep things in context. Um, I've always said candidly and plainly radical Islamism is a reality, and no one can pretend that this guy wasn't ideologically motivated. I think that's just crazy. I will say my observation from the political front. I think both left and right and wrong. Let me explain what I mean by that, and I'll try and round this up soon. Obama made the speech. It sounded almost monotone because he's had to do this so many times before. Um, Both he and especially Hillary Clinton have been very, very vocal on the gun issue. Now, in this regard, I'm much, much more to the Democrats. I cannot comprehend the argument of the gun lobby. I cannot comprehend how anyone could argue that it is okay that someone with a history of violent behaviour, he'd been abusive to his wife, who was on clearly on an FBI watch list, he'd been interviewed by them twice, how he could buy a lethal automatic weapon. As I understand it, this wasn't a handgun that he used; it was an automatic weapon. I forget the exact market name of the weapon, but I cannot grasp how anyone could argue there's nothing wrong with that. And both Hillary Clinton and Obama and the American left and the Democrats, and also those who are advocates for common sense gun regulation, it isn't just left wingers. I don't think anyone can honestly call New York's Bill Bratton a left winger. The point is, what they're saying is absolutely right. This makes no sense. It just makes no sense. And once again, predictably, the gun lobby and the right are coming out and say, oh, the gun grabbers are going to take advantage of this. When are these people going to wake up and just see that there is something very, very wrong with this situation? The simple fact is, yes, you get depression in other countries. Yes, you get people with mental illness. Yes, you get people who hate their government. Yes, you get people who hate society. Yes, you get alienated young men in most countries. But you do not get these sort of mass shootings on such a regular occurrence as you do in the United States. It's a fact. Okay, you just can't argue with that fact. However, this is the caveat: the left are also wrong, in my opinion, by refusing to use the term radical Islamist terror. I um I quite like Obama and I support a relative amount of what he has done. One area I think he has been far too lacking in assertiveness is calling this for what it is: radical Islamist terror. Now, look, Donald Trump may be crude, he may be divisive, and he may well be, like I've argued before, a reckless president. But both he and the Republican Party are not wrong to say that Obama is shying away from the term, and that is just plain wrong. You have to call something what it is, and calling this generic terrorism just doesn't fit the bill. It just does not describe what is going on here. A lot of people are saying he wasn't real Muslim. They're questioning if it was, they're even coming out with conspiracy theories. That's all a plot to give Islam a bad image. I've even seen some particularly vile theories that it's all set up to push the gay agenda. This is abhorrent, victim blaming. So I think both left and right are wrong. The right are wrong to pretend that there isn't a problem with gun violence in America and to once again just deny reality. But the left are also denying reality by refusing to recognize that there is a problem with radical Islamist thinking here. That's what's going on, and it will happen again. Um, I'm not saying there's any easy answers, but at the very, very least, had this guy, if there'd been legislation blocking those investigated by the FBI from purchasing firearms, at least for a designated period, at the very, very least, the simple fact is he would not have been able to go into a Florida gun shop and legally purchase a firearm. It's not rocket science. Um, I just can't comprehend that. But I think Obama is wrong to say he said something about no agenda has been furthered by talking about, and he almost was in pain to even say the words. I'm thinking, Mr. President, this is, really, this is where the left get a bad image because it, I hate to say it, but Trump was partly right about one thing when he said that Obama sounded more angry with him than the shooter. I mean, you don't want leaders who are driven by emotion, but you also want leaders that, Obama has, in most of these mass shootings, he has been very emotional. This time it sounded almost monotone. Now, that could be because he's fed up of having to make the same speech. But the perception is there. This is a very tight presidential race. And the Democrats need to be aware that if they're not calling something for what it is, they're going to look weak. And the Republicans need to be aware that if they don't accept that America has a problem with gun violence, they're going to look out of touch. So both sides have that weakness. I'm going to round it up here. I'm aware that my views may annoy some people, but look, I'm just speaking candidly. This is how I honestly feel about this. My heart goes out to all of those who are still recovering from their injuries, and the mental scars are going to take years to rebuild. So let us continue to show compassion towards the victims of this atrocity.